Nice to be here and have a little talk with you, Jonathan. Um,
Yeah, the same.
Maybe I should present myself for the viewers. I am Ove Valeskog. I have done my recent two films is Huldra, Lady of the Forest, and Mareld. Mareld is the recent film I was making, and I'm in a production now with a new one. But Mareld is well the film that everyone talks about mostly, actually, because it's a meta production. I've been directing, but I started up as a when I was 14 years old. I started up as a musician and went into the studio for the first time, and I felt like this is home for me from that way on, and I proceeded with. I went on with the music part, and that was the way of getting into this business. But as
Yeah.
I've always tell everyone, I'm a storyteller, and a storyteller has to more cards in his hands than just being a musician or being a director or being a script writer. You have to do it all. That's maybe the big thing about being an indie filmer, and I'm an indie filmmaker. So I'm a storyteller.
Yeah.
So who are you?
That's great. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm actually not a storyteller. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Of course I am. I always introduce myself as a storyteller, and I think it's really cool to meet someone else that does the same. My name is Jonathan Katzeff. I'm the director of the feature The House at the End of the Forest. It's a horror feature about the girl who's dying all of the time, and waking up and trying to not waking up, she's reliving every day over and over again. It's a simple premise, and that's how I like it. I have a love for stories taking place in one place, basically. My background is very crooked. I'm working as an editor at the moment. I've been doing that for like 15 years or something. Before that, I worked as a location manager for a couple of features. I've been a casting director for commercials. I've directed music videos, commercials, and worked as a DOP. And before that, I worked as a cashier on the local supermarket for 6 years. And I've been working as an actor. And I basically tried everything because I'm a really curious person. I'm really, really curious about how did you finance the feature? Did you search? Did you apply for funds, or did you go to the Swedish Film Institute, or did you approach production companies, or how did you? Yeah, tell me more about it
Well,
because
it
it's
doesn't.
needed to be funded.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure you can see it, but I'm a rat. Who wants to have a rat in their house? I'm not
Yeah,
invited. I don't think I will be invited. I'm a rat.
yeah,
Indie filmmaking is like being a rat. You just have to do the shit you do, and the way of financing this is together. Together we finance it, and it's almost always starting up. Like in this time, it was Victor Åkerblom, one of the main actors, and we've been working together with Huldra, and we want to work more together. We have done some stuff in between, and we felt like, well, let's take the hands in our pockets, and see what do we got, what do we have. Well, this is the film. This is what the film is. This is what we have, and this is what we will have to make the film. You have your boat, he told me. Yes, let's do it in a boat. And I told him, let's do it on a boat, and the team can't be bigger than the boat will manage. And actually, the most important of it all is like the team can be more people than able to shit in the boat. And that was a problem
yeah,
actually turning up, because we were maybe one or more too many in the
yeah.
boat for the latrine to work out.
That's a funny thing because no one ever talks about it, but it's a serious issue though, because toilet situation is always much, much worse than you ever anticipate on a movie set. It's not just in indie movies. It's I used to work as an location manager at feature films here in Sweden, and it was the same issue. There's always toilet problems. That's why you never feed your crew. No, just kidding.
Yeah, I will use that one next time.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Well,
actually,
that's really cool.
yeah,
Yeah, but it's really important though, because if you're going to someone's apartment, you have the luxury to borrow an apartment. You always need to have a second apartment, a second toilet, or whatever for the crew, because most likely you will break the toilet, and you never anticipate it. So my question were, how did you get money? We ended up with shit.
yeah, yeah.
I like the arc of our conversation. It's
I
really cool.
told you I'm a rat.
Yeah, you are a rat. But okay, tell me a little bit more about. We haven't talked at all actually about the technique. What did you shoot on? You told me that you have Marcus a DOP, and he were also a drone photographer. What did you shoot on? Did you shoot on different formats? Did you shoot on different cameras? Just tell me everything I need to know, because I'm really curious here.
Yeah, well, we had one Alexa Mini and
Yeah.
one Amira Arri cameras. I think we were shooting in well, the highest resolution is like, I think it's about 3,000 something on
Yeah.
Amira and Alexa Mini. And the drone was a DJI Pro 2, I think it was.
Did you do any test shooting before? Because it's kind of risky mixing all these cameras. By my experience, did you do any test shooting before?
No, actually not. That sounds like a fantastic idea to have time for that.
Yeah.
But I felt like I was trusting Marcus to cope with that, and I know that Ari Amira and Alexa Mini work together very good, so they have the same quality and the same touch of the camera. I think it's the same sensor on both cameras. So I think the only difference was when you were up in the air or under the water. In the way of storytelling, it also was a big difference for the picture. So I felt like it felt like quite safe about it, actually. And the worst thing is when you're doing an indie film, and we went for 2 weeks, just 14 days to make this movie. For me, it's also the most important trick is to work chronological as much as possible, because when you do that, you have the same weather and the same lightings and the same hour for the same happening. That's a more critical part of the filmmaking. If you don't have the time, and if you're about to make a movie in a very small micro team, and for a very short time you have to work in a chronological order, because otherwise you set up a whole lot of bigger problems coming up, much worse than what kind of camera you use.
We shot on Red Epic. I was supposed to shoot on my Blackmagic camera. That was the plan from the start. It has its pros and cons. The pro and the big con with the Blackmagic, why I wanted to shoot with it was it looks cool, and I like the look of it, and it made me plan very much because it overheats easily. So I had to plan before starting, even writing the script, how to shoot it the fastest way. Then we just got lucky and got our hands on a Red Epic, two Red Epics. We had like 4 scenes where we could use 2 different Red Epics, and we shot on Hawk lenses, I believe. Really cool anamorphic look to it, and we have CinemaScope as well in the aspect ratio. What we didn't have, that I want to just put out there as a warning and a recommendation, we did not have any proxies when shooting. I don't believe it was possible back then. It would have saved us a lot of time in post production, and that's one of the most important part in the filmmaking, saving time in post productions, because post production can eat hours after hours, and that will just get the energy depleted. We did not have any reference audio either, which took us forever to sync up. Um, so it, yeah, if we had had the time to plan better, I would probably thought it through a little bit better. But you live and you learn, and that's why we're talking here today, because we're coming here with some warning for new indie filmmakers, and that's one of my biggest recommendations. Use proxies, use reference audio.
Don't expect the plan to come through.
Yeah, yeah, well, that's true as well. But
Live
when
with
you
it.
get the chance, I talked about it earlier when I sat as worked as a cashier, wrote scripts on receipts. I still had a feeling inside of me that's like, when you get the chance, just take it. And now I had the chance and I took it, and everything went haywire. So I just had to focus on planning the most important parts of my movie. Had I had the chance to plan ahead, I would have, and that's what I recommend. But if, yes, try to keep it as simple as possible, and try not to make it hard for you in post production, because even if you get it in the can, post production will become hell eventually. Just make it as enduring hell as possible. But I'm really curious. You shot on a we shot in a actually in two different cabins. We did not shoot chronological as you guys did. We used it the other way around. I will get more into it later on. But I rented the cabin next door as well for a cheap amount, so we could just get warm, and we could have a place to rest and eat food. A couple of us lived at an motel not far from the location. Uh, we're just lucky to get sponsorship with this place to sleep. But otherwise, we just drove back home because it was a 1 hour drive home from where we shot. You guys did not have that luxury, so please do tell, how did it work with the living quarters and everything? You were shooting on a freaking boat and shooting on islands filled with poop as well. So how did you manage to live here
Well, that was
during this
intentional.
production?
Actually, the intention was if we're getting out on an island, no one can get back home, and if you're not able to get back home, you're just living the dream of making a film. So, saying that, it was like when we were out there, we were making this film, and we have a lot of hours, Swedish summer, and the Nordic lights. Everything is for the best part. And when sleeping, well, the best time of the day for a filmmaking indie film to sleep is when the sun is in zenith, when it's because you want the evening and the morning lights to make this fantastic lamp, to make it much easier without electrical lightings. You have the sun, and can enjoy that, and that makes it much easier, because if no one's going home, everyone says, well, can't we just make some more hour out of this? Can't we film something? Do you have something more to film? Can we just shoot 1 more hour? It's fun. Come on, everyone likes this.
Yeah.
So if you just have that kind of people around you, you're able to make much more out of a day, like a summer night or summer evening in Sweden, and on the boat. And as long as you have at least something to eat and a nice water, to drink, that's good, because and that's important. The water, actually, we had to pick up. We had a pick up point at a little harbor, and it was They had some water we could use and fill up the boat with fresh water to drink. But the problem was this was one of the warmest, hottest summers in history of modern times, and actually this water we was it wasn't it went salty after a while because this warmth and everything used water was used up. So the last day it wasn't very tasty, that water actually.
If anyone listening here wants to do a feature on a boat, what is your recommendation? What should they think about planning? The most important thing about
Fresh water,
yeah,
fresh water and toilets. And food, of
yeah.
course. Always food. You have to start with food. You have to eat, because if you don't eat, you can't cheat. And if you can't cheat, you can't work.
If you can't eat, if you don't eat, you don't get any energy, and people will get cranky. And
Yeah,
then we're
that's
back
better.
from the
That's
start
better to put it.
because yeah, we need the energy. We need the positive energy,
Yes.
and even though we seem like we're having a pretty different experience, all in all, in how we have done our features, we have very much in common as well. My mindset before starting the production was like, yeah, okay, things would go to hell and let them if they do. Just focus on having a good time. So, as you just said about people wanted to shoot more, that's the same scenario we had. I tried to get people to eat regular, so they always had energy, and we started every day with some music to bring up the energy on set. And just a recommendation for anyone listening: try to get everyone involved, at least feeling involved, because it's really, really fun when everyone feels like you said that they want to go on and do something. It's like, I can't shoot this, I can't shoot that, and that's really, really cool experience. I love that about my feature, and I would love to have it that way again.
Commitment. You get the commitment out of having to play more than a part. You have one part. Almost every time when I bring out the team, I think I always says like, well, you have a part to play. It's like if you're a the sound technicians, maybe you're the sound guy, but you have to have more parts in this film, and
Yeah.
we have to do it together in all kinds of ways. And if there is something you can develop, or if you are interested in some other part of filmmaking, just tell me what, because in that case I will make you a part of that part of the filmmaking also. And that makes I think that's a very important thing of indie making, that you can't just do one thing. You have to do more than one, and that's engagement. You have to participate in the whole production in a bigger way, and I think that makes you your team being a part, makes the team being part of more of the film than it's common.
I think we should talk a little bit about all of the issues, the biggest issues, and what's important to dodge and how to handle certain situations, because people listening to us want to do their own features. And promotion time is over for our movies. So we can be honest here. I wasn't supposed to be producer of my feature. That's no secret, actually. I haven't talked about it that much, but my main goal was not to do anything else except writing and direct. It didn't end up that way. It ended up with actually me talk to people. It's like, yeah, okay, we don't have a producer anymore for different kind of reasons, and the ones taking over does not produce. So, do you still want to have fun? Do you want to hang around with me and do this feature? Because we're too far in it. This was like we had shot for like 5 days or 4 days or something. You want to have fun? Do you want to play with blood? That's the main thing. Do you want to play with blood? Was my catchphrase during this production, and people said yes. And I was always honest with this is a teamwork. I'm not supposed to be the producer. I need you to cooperate so we can do this together. Um, and that was one of the main problems in this feature. It also killed my possibility to engage with a lot of my work as a director. But everyone doing an indie film will end up someday in a similar situation where they need to choose. Do I need to sacrifice this part of the movie, this creative part, with the chance of the movie never getting done, or should I just go on and make it happen? And I choose to go on and make it happen. A friend of mine told me always get it in the can, and that was my main goal. And always trying to have a nice time on set. Later on, I could just handle all the issues by myself, but just trying to have a good time on set. But everything that could go wrong went wrong with our feature. I just one example. We had a movie backed up we shot on Red, and we put everything onto these small hard drives, and then from the hard drives we put it on RAID drives, and then from the RAID drives we put it up to our FTP server. Unfortunately, we had a day where everything went haywire in post production. Um, the RAID drive just had something wrong with it, so it just fried. The both of the disks just died. The FTP server, we had put a digit wrong in the payment, so they had just formatted the FTP because they hadn't got the payment. And then I was like, oh shit, okay. Well, luckily us, we have everything backed up on the original drives from set. But of course, we missed a whole day, the day that we needed. So it cost us about $2,000 to restore the hard drive. And that was just a really, really uncomfortable situation because I've been shooting this feature for 22 days, including extra shots and everything and stock shots. And I was almost done with the editing, and we edited with our Proxy files, of course, offline editing, and then all the original material just disappeared. But luckily, they managed to restore it for $2,000, approximately 18,000 Swedish kroners, and that was just fucked up. Did you have a similar scenario? Did you have a scenario where it's like, okay, God really hates me. This won't happen.
Of course. We were starting up. When we were starting up, we had a team member who was about to be the sound engineer, and we're supposed to be the coordinator for the production, and also she was about to be connected to the line producer position, where we had a person in the inland. Based in Stockholm, making some easy way of food, so we weren't supposed to make any meals out on the boat. We had just have almost half fabricates, almost done food, just warming up this, and everything of this logistics was about to be set up. But just a couple of hours, 1 hour before, or almost 1 hour after, because I was going ahead and picking up my boat and my two boats more, and I was on my own. So I had 3 boats coming to the pickup point on my own. But I made it in time, and when I was there, I just get the call from I think it was from Victor, my co-producer, and he said, "Ove, I'm sorry, but she cracked here. We haven't been out, we haven't started up yet, but something is very wrong here. she just sitting there crying and can't be with us, and
Oh,
everything
shit.
is, we don't have any food, and they are panicking here or something. And we haven't even
Mm.
started up the production. So
Mm.
what's happening? I think she had some. Well, my guess is like she has some phobic stuff about water, or going out on the
Oh,
ocean or
really?
something. Yeah, it
Yeah.
must have been something like that, because she afterwards she told me, I'm sorry, I couldn't move. I couldn't. I don't know what happened. I just couldn't. Yeah, I couldn't do anything. I just cracked. So I think it must have been something like that. Anyway, the situation were like, okay, we don't have. We have a dropout on the sound engineering. We have a
Yeah.
dropout on the coordination and the planning for that, and we have a dropout at the same time for the making of the food, and
Mm.
as a little more sugar on the top, the line producer helping me out, just with her left hand, just about to help me in the start, or the
Yeah.
thought. She got a little bit panic out of this, and so we had some sponsors with pasta and stuff.
Yeah.
So she just put it in the car, and when I was out there and everyone was coming, we also got the sponsor food, but not for one day or 3 days,
Mm.
but for the whole period, and it was just pasta and nothing else.
Yeah.
So one of the
It's
actors,
still
well,
full though.
yeah, one of the actors couldn't eat that pasta. We were
Okay.
planned
All
for,
right.
yeah. So a couple of
Yeah.
actors couldn't eat that pasta. They couldn't eat anything. So we
Mm.
had just some cucumbers, I think it was. So she just ate a couple of cucumbers and an apple for the first 2 days, and she was, oh well, that's good, because I'm getting skinny now, and we're about to film in the bathing suit, so it's okay for me. She
Oh
was a
man,
tough
that's hard.
one. She was a tough one,
Yeah.
but. I felt like this is not good. This is very, this can go really wrong, but it didn't, because they were
Yeah.
fantastic. A fantastic team and a fantastic actors, and yeah, we went through it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that was hard.
But it,
That was hard.
yeah, yeah, of course it must have been. Well, that's the thing about indie filmmaking and doing it on a micro budget. I need to underline micro budget, because what we're doing is much more. It's much less than an indie film, actually. Terrible stuff will always happen. Therefore, it's really, really important to focus on having fun. I had issues that I talked about with the hard drive. I had issues with the location. Actually, the first cabin we shot in, we shot 2 days during the summer because I wanted a warmth feeling. The people we rented the house from thought that we lied to them about being a micro budget movie, because they looked too professional. So they wanted the same amount for rent each day that we had for a week in the beginning. So that was a terrible situation. Needed to find a new cabin. We had people losing their relatives. We had people going through two people going through divorces, and being on edge all of the time. So it's kind of a minefield doing a feature this way. Doing a short film for like 4 or 5 days, it's possible. This is just bananas, and we need to just if you listen to this and you're going to do this on your own, just be sure to be prepared. Everything will go haywire, and just learn how to love it. That's my only advice. And
One of
I
them.
believe you. Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, it's the most important one, because if you don't love this and you start to stress out instead of just thinking, oh, how do I solve this? Then you're down a dark road, my man. You need to feel like a little bit of rush, or at least try to find the rush. Okay, shit, I don't have a sound engineer today. How do I manage? and me and Andres, we had like 3 days where it was just me and him, and we didn't even have a sound engineer, so we just had a C stand instead with a microphone on, and did our best with it. And you need not to be afraid. You need to know how to control your panic, I believe.
Make the planning thorough, and that's the key to it. But the most important is like, as long as you have made your best in planning, and as long as you have made your best in having fun, you have to like
Mm.
to improvise, because you have to improvise, because nothing happens as you
Always.
planned.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's the second and
Eh,
the third and the fourth plan you have to make.
yeah.
Is always almost, the improvisation and the solution mindset is very
Yeah.
important.
And if you feel like this is too much information, there's a lot of things that we know because we have experience now doing a couple of these projects, both you and me on our own. You will feel like you're going to die sometimes. Just don't. Just remember, don't die. Keep on pushing. Because as an actor, a friend of mine told me that if you can't go through 500 casting rejects, you're not meant to be an actor. She actually became one of the biggest ones in Sweden, like 5 years after that quote. And I feel like, yeah, okay, this is just my purgatory, my trial of fire or whatever. Well, a friend of mine who actually became the executive, one of the executives on this feature, he always told me, just get it in the can. As soon as something happened, it was like, Jonathan, always focus on getting it in the can. And me as a TV editor knew how I could save the scenes where I felt like, okay, this is not going to work. So I prepared my old assistant editors with the material. They started when we were shooting. They started to sync clips and started to edit everything, so I could get a feeling of where we were going, if the energy worked, and so on and so on. But it worked too much just get it in the can, but because the post production became hell. The way I ended up where I had to sit for like, and this is no exaggeration, like 180 hours doing manual syncing, meaning there were no reference audio or anything. I just had to basically guess where to find the clips because we didn't have a script supervisor, and then I had to do all the half of the offline files myself, and then me and a friend of mine called named Max Aren edited the feature together. He did it mainly by himself, but I did like 20% or something. But it was really hard. It took like 500 hours all in all, the post production. First 180 hours just to sync it up, then edit everything in the offline files, and then I had to be involved in the effect shots, and I had a list of all the effect shots, and it were 40 when we started shooting. It ended up with 63 when we were done. So I did like 90% of the compositing in After Effects by myself, and I fucked up like 40% of it. And then we needed to get sound design. It took forever to find anyone, and then we find that person. It did like 10%, and then it quit because they found other work, and then so on and so on with the sound design. I produced the music together with the musician Roger Olson, John Roger Olson. I was with him for ever in his studio doing the music. It took 2 years where we worked like 8 hours each month or something. It was so frustrating and never finished. Eventually, after 6 years after the movie was shot, we found our grader as well. And when you feel like you're about to die and put everything on the shelf, just call people and ask them, what would you have done? I got a bunch of new connections just calling people at different post houses. My mind gave up, but my body just continued. So yeah, yeah. Oh shit! I don't want to remember this, but yeah, it all came back now. It's hell. Just prepare as best you can. Oh, how was your experience of post production?
Well, actually, we have similarities, and at the same time, we have quite different way of thinking about this, because, of course, hell is coming through the mail, and that's defined through bills that you can't pay. Because you
Yeah,
have so fun when you're working in a post production that you forget that someone out there want to get paid for you eating food or lending some money of wrong persons or something. You have to be careful out there, you know. As long as you're in the post production house working with your post production, you're in this fantastic storytelling fantasy workstation life. But outside, they're telling you sooner or later, they're knocking on your door and telling you, you can't do this. You know, this is, I know this is fun, but you have to be done. And actually, you have to pay your bills. So the big frustration for me is like, can I just, can someone just give me money so I can buy the food and I can start go on working with this film, because it's so fantastic in this process. I love this process. But of course, I just want to get, you know, we have a delivery to make. We have a delivery, and I have promised people that we have to get this film done, because everyone knows that an indie filmmaker can be in this process for year after year. So you have to make these promises, you know, and say like, and the setup for making an indie film must be like, for me, it's, you have to do it in a year. You have to be done before next summer, because next summer you're about to want to make a next film. So you just have the party, you know, the party must go on, but it's not the same party. You have to go on a lot of parties, and then the post-production party just has, you know, you have your window is like this time. You have done it, you have the can, you go with the can to the party, next party, and the party is post-production. But I'm sorry, you have to make this party post-production party in this time sequence, you know. Otherwise, it dies. Otherwise, you never get done with the film. Otherwise, it takes. I'm helping out another indie filmmaker now. They have their film on the table for 8 years. The main actor was, I think he was 18, 19 when he started up in this film, and he had I'm sure he had great hopes and great expectations that he was about to get the acting business going. But the film is still on the table, and that can't happen. You have a responsibility. That's the whip, you know. That's the whip you have to have on your back, because you have to get this done in the momentum that a couple of months can give you, or
yeah.
a
But
year.
how do you do that though? Ove, how do you do that? How do you
I did like this on
how do you
Mareld.
get it done?
Yeah, I did like this on Mareld. I had an editor, but when he got the can, he didn't understand anything. What have you done? Well, read it in the script. Oh, I can understand. They're running there and they're running everywhere, and I don't understand anything. Well, okay then, give it to me. I'm taking over now, because we have been, you know. So I've left it when we had made the production these 2 weeks. I was about to have 3 weeks of semester with my children, and when I was going back, the editor was supposed to make a rough cut of the film, but he didn't understand how to went through it is. So I just said, okay, clock is ticking. I'm taking over. So
Yeah.
if you can't do this, I have to do it. So I went on, and With Mareld, I didn't fall in the trap as I did with Huldra, working with VFX for 2 years or something. Here, I made it very easy, small, as less is more. I have as few VFX problems as possible, and so I edited it on my own. And luckily, I have worked as a sound designer, because that's a problem to get a sound designer having time and having experience to work with the film, and also the compositor. But I'm a musician and I'm a composer, and I have done the music myself. So I have on Mareld, I make the. It was fantastic working with Huldra. We had a lot of fantastic skilled instrumentalists and musicians in the production. But this time I felt like this setup is a different one. I have to do it on my own much more. So I think I took in. I think I just had a drummer, and the rest was on me to make happen. But if you can't make the music on your own, or if you can't, if you can define the process, and if you're not experienced of the process, you must have an experienced composer or experienced musician, and you have to have you have to be humble in the work with this person. You have to trust them, because you can't sit in the, I hate people. Oh, I want to have the music done, but I can't drive the car, because my feet can't reach the pedals. So can I sit in your knee and in your lap, and you can maybe hold a little bit in my steering wheel also, because it's your car and it's your steering wheel and I can't drive it. But when we're done and we're over there, I just want to tell everyone that I did it. Is it okay with you? I don't like that. So just make them drive the car. If you can't drive the car, make them drive the car and trust them. And give them the creative space. That's very important.
Your movie is in as you told me, in 3 layers. You have this main story. You have this meta story, and then you have this kind of behind the scenes feeling where the actors didn't really know they were in the movie. Tell me a little bit about the story arc through those 3 elements. How did you plan it? How did you work with it? And mainly, how did you edit something like that?
Well, I started up with having in my early teenagers, I were playing Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that. I was the play leader of that, and we're always improvising, and so the improvisation is I feel like that's a very fun way of doing it. But you can't improvise if you don't know the tracking, how you want to go to the last point, the end. So you have to know the end and the beginning, and you have to know the characters. So you have to paint out the characters very well together with the actors. So it's like almost like playing a part in a role play. And if you have actors, that's fantastic. They like to be in the camera, so it's no problem. So I started up like I was having an outline, and I have a character built together with the actors, and the outline partly in certain key points I have scripted parts, but the outline was mostly describing sequences of the film, and we were working in chronological order, and at the same time I had a double script, an outline with happenings, events that would about to take part in the film without the actors knowing it, and that was almost like a parallel universe and parallel outline. I was working together with a co-producer and with the DOP, so they were up to date what was about to happen. So that was the main 2 layers, but the third layer was like reality. It was like a documentary. We were making a documentary, but we were thinking that we were making a mockumentary or something, but it was about to be a bit scary, but the documentary part of this went out to be a real documentary because we have interventions that were very interesting. So when I came to the post-production, to the editing part of this, it was very interesting, because then I had a 3-layer film. I was planning for 2 layers, but I got 3 layers. As an editor, it was easy for me to identify the scenes and identify the characters. I knew when, like Hannah Oldenburg, a fantastic actress, it was clear for me when she was playing herself and when she was playing the part of the scripted or the fiction, the fictionary character. You might say a part of the film Mareld was a post-production story event. I almost every time I tell people, a story is about to be told when you're writing the script, and then it's told again in a different character when you are producing it, because you have actors taking part and interpretation of the characters, and then the director working out and the pictures and the weather and everything. This gets to another story. It's a new story. It's the second story of the filmmaking. And then when the post-production comes, you get the can. You have the can. What can you do? You only get what you got in the can. And this can must be the film. So it's the third time you're making a movie. And when you're making a movie, you come to the post-production and pour out the can on the table and just trying to sort it out. And for me, it was a whole lot of mess, but it was a whole lot of opportunities and possibilities. So it was a fantastic thing to work out. And I think I was editing this for 2 months, and then I was done, and then I just jumped into the studio and playing, making the music for a couple of weeks, and then I was done. Then it was just getting the VFX, and it took some more time. I think I was done about before the Christmas. The Santa Man comes and takes all my money. Then I was trying out and showing this for a test audience in January. So after half a year, almost everything was done.
Would it have been the same situation if you hadn't done Huldra before, The Lady of the Forest?
The experience of have been there before is very important. To have experience on set, having experience on the planning, because if you make plans and you don't have experience of what can happen, then your plan will get in a different kind of can before you start. So
exactly,
I think absolutely as the second film, and I've been of course I've been working with other films where I didn't direct or produce. So my experience helped me out a lot.
It's hard. It's really hard to move that fast in post-production with an indie movie if it's your first. I see this feature, The House at the End of the Forest, as my first because it was the first real one. The other two, I did my first when I was 19, just to feel the vibe of it, and then a second one when I was 22. But there was still just to feel the vibe of it. This one, my setting, my premise was, as an editor, I have done a shit tons of reality TV. So I wanted this Groundhog Day setup because it's basically just exactly what I'm doing as a reality TV editor. Of just repeating everything, and I have a commercial break, and having a character dying over and over again makes it much easier for the editing process, at least that's what I thought, because of keeping a very short arc for each episode, and I could reuse if needed. Sadly, I had a way too high ambition, so I overdid it the first week or something. I was like, okay, now let's do the same thing again with a different energy, because you're going to be a different character each time you wake up. I didn't need to do that because the things which differed in the script from each episode would make the character become different anyway. And Alexandra was a great actor, would find that herself.
It's almost, Jonathan, as if we're coming to an end in this discussion, I will just give everyone the advice if they are about to make an indie film. Without saying give them other advices, as we probably will do soon. My biggest advice is like making an indie film. You have, before you start setting up as a director or something like that, you have to do the work, the hard work. You have to know how to make the coffee first. You have to know how to drive the car and how to be nice to people and humble, and you have to know how sound and lights works with the camera. You have to know how to carry the like a gaffer. You have to know all this. You have to make your way in different lines of the production, the post-production, something like maybe made music. So also, one important thing is, like you're telling now, is you have to have a life that can feed your stories.
It has been great picking your brain, and I hope to do it once more in the future.
Yeah, we should take a
At
whiskey
least,
someday.
at least
Soon.
one more. Yeah.